Hello there, YouTubers. I just thought I'd talk a bit about Red Dwarf because I get asked so many questions, and also it is the Red Dwarf 20th anniversary this year. 20 years ago that series started, and it was an amazing experience, really. It really was. And it has had such a huge impact around the world. It's so surprising. Places that, I got recognised in Japan, in an airport in Japan, by a Japanese guy who just loved it. Could only really say Red Dwarf in English. That was the only word. But how he knew, I was baffled. When you think of what I actually look like in the series, is quite extreme. And in fact, on the wall behind me, you can see there, pride of place in my office, they are Radio Times covers, the big magazine in this country which advertises what's on the TV. So it was amazing, and it was made at a time before multi-channel television. And it was, it was a remarkable achievement considering the restrictions that applied to, to all TV production. It was by BBC Two's standards, a big budget show. It was an expensive show to make, lots of special effects, special effects means stuff goes wrong and takes longer. It's as simple as that. So like that, there's a little moment there where Lister's camera explodes. It will definitely not have exploded in quite the right way the first time we shot that. My makeup was, as you can see there, really quite horrendous. I'll do the quick facts. A lot of you will know this already who have seen Red Dwarf, but by this time, this was series 7, I believe, this time my mask took about 2.5 hours to stick on, about an hour to take off. Had it on all the time. The mask could only be used once, so there were hundreds of masks produced for a series. It was destroyed when it was removed. I had my head shaved underneath because just having hair was just too unpleasant. And if I needed to go for a wee, it was best just not to bother. But if I needed to, it took about 25 minutes to get the costume off in order for me to go. So you had to plan ahead. And I couldn't eat when I had it on, so I didn't eat anything solid, any solid food. I could drink from a straw, but I couldn't eat anything from, let's say about 8 o'clock in the morning till about, on a full day's shoot, when all the special effects were done like that, would be 8 in the morning till, say, 10 at night. It was quite tough. I was younger then. The other remarkable thing about it is I sometimes meet kids who literally were not born when we made the last one. And they love it. They've seen the DVDs, or their dads have shown them. Or in one case, one young woman I met recently, who was tall, I don't know how old she was, but she wasn't a kid. She was fairly grown up, and she said, "Oh, my grandma loves Red Dwarf." That made me feel my age. So 20 years ago is when it started, 1988 was when it started broadcasting, 1988. I started shooting it in 1989. The reason I got into it was because of that there. I'll see if I can just move that around. That play up there is called Mammon, Robot Born of Woman. That was a play that I did at the Edinburgh Festival in 1988, which was 20 years ago this year. And the producer of Red Dwarf at the time, a man called Paul Jackson, who now runs ITV in this country, he saw that play and said, do you want to be in this thing? And I think initially, I don't know what I said to him, but I initially thought, no, I don't want to be in that. I've got all my own stuff to do. What an idiot. So that's how I ended up in the show, because I played a robot on stage. It was a very different robot to Crichton, although he had the same voice, essentially, because I just spent a long time in Canada just before I did that. So Crichton was meant to be Canadian. I know it's not a Canadian accent. I have had that pointed out to me by numerous irate Canadians. So now, the other questions I always get asked is there going to be a movie? Well, I don't know. You can never say never, but it has now been 10 years since we made the last series. The last series we recorded was in 1998. I think this was about 96 we did this one. So I'm not sure if we will ever get to do a film now. It's such a long time ago. I just don't know. None of us have a bit of our diary mapped out for the Red Dwarf movie. If it came up, I reckon we'd all jump at the chance. We'd love to do it again. But I think probably the gap is a bit too long now. It's a great shame, and the history as to why the film didn't get made is so long and turgid. It deserves I can't explain in a short YouTube clip. But anyway, I can't think of what else I wanted to tell you about Red Dwarf. I just thought it was worth commemorating the fact that it's 20 years old, and it was. It was a real honour to be in. I was really, I feel this more actually as the years pass, that I think, my God, I was really lucky to get that job to work with those people, to meet Rob and Doug, the writers, to work with Ed By, the director, and all the people that worked on that show. Some remarkable people worked on it, and you know, they definitely broke new ground making the show. Red Dwarf is still the most watched show that BBC Two have ever produced. It still holds that record, which is something I did tell Jeremy Clarkson when I met him, because it had more people watching than Top Gear. More people watch Red Dwarf than watch Top Gear at that time. I don't know what Top Gear gets now. No one gets those kind of viewing figures anymore, just because there's so many channels. So if Red Dwarf was being shown now on the BBC, it wouldn't get those figures, no matter how popular it was, because you just can't. We had the same sort of viewing figures as Coronation Street gets now. So Craig, bless him, still gets huge viewing figures for being a taxi driver on Corrie. There we go. This bit here, I hope you can see this. This bit was filmed in a wind tunnel. I think I'm actually going back there. A wind tunnel in at an aviation testing place where they put wings in and blow 3,000 mile an hour winds over it. It was an amazing place, quite extraordinary, and very difficult to walk on because it was slippery and curved. As you might be able to see that I'm a bit taller than Craig, but he was down. You can't tell because of the mist. It was on a semicircle, so. And my feet were constantly slipping down the side of the thing. It's covered in oil and mist. What a pointless anecdote. I think it's time I shut up. Anyway, YouTubers, if you did watch Red Dwarf, thank you very much. And if you have been watching today, thanks very much indeed. See you soon.